There's a version of investing that gets talked about a lot. The guy who picked the right stock at the right time, got lucky, and retired early. That's not what it is. In 2014, I started putting $500 a month into the market. I had no special information. I wasn't watching Bloomberg Terminal or hot stock tips every morning. I just had a system, and I didn't stop. 12 years later, that system helped me build a stock portfolio worth over $1 million. And combining with my real estate portfolio, I was able to achieve financial freedom in just 7 years. And if you are wondering how to invest your first $10,000 to get started, in this video, I will show you the exact step on how to do that. Let's get started. At first, talk about the split. The first thing you need to understand about investing is the account you put money into determines your tax outcome before you buy a single share. When someone gets $10,000 to invest, the instinct is to find the best stock and put it all there. But that's not how wealth gets built. It's how it gets lost. No wonder why so many people lose money in the stock market. And the ratio you use across those accounts determine how much of your growth you actually keep. So to explain how this works, I want to show you something from Vanguard's 2023, How America Saves report. This is data pulled from millions of retirement accounts. What it shows is that the investors with the highest balances weren't the ones who made the best pick. They were the ones who kept a consistent allocation across account types year after year, regardless of what the market was doing. The split mattered more than the selection. That's interesting, isn't it? Think of your $10,000 as 3 separate jobs. 60%, $6,000 goes into index funds inside a standard brokerage account. That's your growth engine. 30%, $3,000 goes into a Roth IRA. That money grows tax-free, and when you withdraw it in retirement, you pay nothing on the gain. If that $3,000 becomes $60,000 over 25 years, you keep all of it. And what about the last 10%, $1,000? This goes into individual stocks. That's your learning money. Small enough that being wrong doesn't hurt you, large enough that being right teaches you something real. So what's your action item? Open 3 accounts: a standard brokerage account, a Roth IRA account, and a separate watch list for individual stocks you are researching. Allocate before you invest. 60, 30, and 10. Don't move money between buckets based on how the market feels that week, because the split is the strategy. And that's how I build my portfolio. That split, 60, 30, and 10, is the single most important decision you will make with this money. Get that right? The time does most of the work from here. But the split only works if you put it in the right container. Where you hold each bucket changes what the government takes before you ever see a return. And the difference between the right platform and the wrong one compounds into thousands of dollars over a decade before you make a single trade. Here's exactly what to use for each account. Let's talk about the platform decision. The platform we use to invest isn't a preference, it's a cost structure. Every transaction you make either costs you money directly in fees or costs you indirectly through what's execution prices. Over a decade, that difference isn't small. NerdWallet ran a comparison of brokerage fees across the major platforms. What they found is that a 0.5% difference in transaction cost, which sounds like nothing, compounds into thousands of dollars of lost returns over 10 years on a standard investing schedule. The math on platform choice is actually straightforward. Zero commission brokerages like Fidelity give you full execution on every trade with no per transaction cost and access to fractional shares. So you can invest $50 into a $400 stock without waiting until you can afford a full share. Vanguard is where Roth IRA lives, lowest expense ratios in the industry, and the VOO ETF runs at 0.03% annually. That means on $10,000, you are paying $3 a year in fees. The alternative, an actively managed fund, typically charges 1% or more. On the same $10,000, that's $100 a year, every year, on a fund that the SPIVA data shows will likely underperform the index anyway. So Fidelity for your brokerage account, Vanguard for your Roth IRA. If you want the best execution price on individual stock trades, and you are comfortable with a steeper learning curve, Interactive Brokers gives you direct market access. Pick the platform that matches your account type, not with the best app design. You know what app I am talking about. Fidelity and Vanguard, that's the setup. Two accounts mapped to your 60 and 30. The platform decision is done. Now the real question is what you actually put inside them. And this is where most people spend years trying to pick winners when the data already shows there's a smarter bet available to anyone with a brokerage account. Over 90% of professional fund managers, people with research teams and Bloomberg terminals lose to the index over 15 years. What that means for your $10,000 is more important than any stock pick you will ever make. Here's why. Let's talk about what index funds actually do. Index funds get described as the safe option, the boring choice for people who don't want to think about investing. That framing undersells what they actually do. An index fund isn't a single investment. It's a position in every company inside an index, held simultaneously, rebalanced automatically, at a cost that's almost nothing. S&P Dow Jones Indices publishes a report called SPIVA. It tracks how actively managed funds perform against their benchmark index over time. The 2023 data shows that over a 15-year period, more than 92% of the actively managed large cap funds underperformed the S&P 500. This isn't a bad year or a market anomaly. It's the consistent result across 15 years of professional fund managers with research teams and Bloomberg terminals trying to beat an index and failing miserably. One share of VTI gives you exposure to over 3,700 companies across every sector of US economy, and the expense ratio is 0.03%. The fund that's trying to beat it charges 30 times more and over a long enough timeline almost certainly won't. Isn't it funny? The reason index funds win isn't luck, it's a friction. Every time an active fund manager makes a trade, there's a cost. Every time they are wrong, there's a loss. Every time they are right, they have to be right again next quarter just to justify the fee. And there is lot of stress on them as well. But an index fund makes none of those trades. It just holds everything, lets the economy grow and passes almost all of that growth to you. Search VTI or SPY on whichever brokerage you have opened. Check two numbers before you buy. The expense ratio, anything above 0.2% is worth questioning, and the average daily trading volume, which tells you how easy is it to sell when you need to. Buy fractional shares if you are starting small. Set up automatic monthly contribution so the decision is made once, not every month. By the way, if you want my help building a stock portfolio that actually compounds, not just tracking the market, but understanding how to position across account types, platforms, and asset classes, book a free call with me if you want to know how I can help you. The link is in the description below. Index funds handle 90% of the work in your portfolio. Low cost, automatic, consistent. That's your 60% in the brokerage and your 30% in the raw. Set it, contribute monthly, leave it alone. The remaining 10% is where you start thinking like an investor, not just a buyer. But most people who try to pick individual stocks pick for the wrong reason. They follow what's moving on social media and wonder why they are down 6 months later. And finally they panic and sell. There's a 3-number filter that cuts out most of the bad picks before you spend $1. Here's what it looks like. Let's talk about how to pick individual stock. The 10% of your allocation that goes into individual stocks is where most beginners make the same mistake. They pick based on what's moving, what's trending on social media, what someone in a forum said it's about to explode. That's not a stock picking, that's a pattern matching on noise. Real stock picking starts with one question: what is this company actually worth, and what is the market currently charging for it? In 1988, Warren Buffett bought a large position in Coca-Cola. At the time, Coca-Cola had a PE ratio of around 15, meaning you are paying $15 for every $1 of earnings the company produced. It had raised its dividend every single year for more than 25 consecutive years, and it had a brand so dominant that it operated in over 200 countries with almost no serious competitor. Buffett wasn't betting on a trend. He was buying a business he understood at a price the market had undervalued, with a dividend history that told him the company had survived every economic cycle for a quarter century. That position is now one of the most profitable long-term holds in Berkshire Hathaway's history. The PE ratio is the starting filter, not the final answer. A low PE relative to the industry average means the market is pricing the company cheaply compared to what it earned. And a rising dividend over 25 or more consecutive years, what's called a dividend aristocrat, means the company has generated enough consistent profit to increase shareholders' payout through recessions, crashes, and even market cycles. That's not a marketing claim. It's a documented track record. Earnings growth tells you whether the business is expanding or contracting. You want all three pointing in the same direction before you put money in. Before buying any individual stock, pull three numbers: the PE ratio compared to the industry average, the dividend history, specifically whether it's been raised consistently for at least a decade, and the earnings growth rate over the last 3 to 5 years. If you can't find a clear answer on all three, that's the answer. Keep it in the index fund until you can. Three numbers: PE ratio, dividend history, and earnings growth. That's all the thing you should care about to get started. Run that filter before you buy anything individual, and you cut out most of the noise before it touches your money. But here's the part no one wants to talk about when they are getting started. Even a portfolio built right will go red sometimes. The market corrects, your balance drops, and the urge to sell is strong and completely understandable. But how you respond in that moment is what actually determines whether you build wealth or give it back to the market. The JP Morgan data on this is one of the most important things a new investor can see. Here's what it shows. Let's talk about the crash. At some point after you start investing, the market will drop. Your balance will go red. And the instinct, the very strong, very human instinct, will be to sell before it gets worse. That instinct is the most expensive mistake a long-term investor can make. JP Morgan's Guide to the Markets tracks the S&P 500 returns going back 20 years. There's one chart in that report that changes how you think about crashes. It shows what happens to your return if you miss just the 10 best trading days over a 20-year period. A fully invested portfolio over those 20 years turned $10,000 into roughly $64,000. Miss the 10 best days, just 10 out of more than 5,000 trading days, and the same 10,000 become 29,000. Isn't it interesting? The return gets cut in half. Here's the part that matters. The majority of those best days happened within 2 weeks of the worst day. So if you are out of the market, you miss all those gains. The investors who sold during the crash missed the recovery. The ones who stayed or bought more captured it. Dollar cost averaging is what makes a crash work for you instead of against you. When you invested $500 every month, regardless of market conditions, a drop means your $500 buys more shares than it did the month before. That's how you do it. When the market recovers, and across every crash in recorded market history, it has, those extra shares grow with it. The investors who panicked and sold locked in a loss. The investors who kept going bought the dip without trying to time it. When the market drops, do one thing. Check your timeline. If you won't need this money for 5 years or more, a red balance on a Monday morning is not a loss. It's a lower price on the same assets you were buying last month. Keep your automatic contributions running. Don't check your balance more than once a month. The investors who built wealth through 2018, 2020, and 2022 didn't do anything special during those crashes. They just didn't stop. As Warren Buffett famously said, time in the market is more than timing the market. If you need more capital to invest each month, not just $500, but $1,000, $2,000, or even more, the constraint isn't the market, it's income. I teach how to build multiple income streams inside my mastermind. Book a free call using the link in the description below to talk to me. I'll see you in the next video.